Welcome to the new podcast, In the Garden with Susan. I'm your host, Susan Ladner. I will aim to bring you top quality information on how to save open pollinated seeds, grow a garden, and preserve what you grow. Every Wednesday, I'll be sharing practical tips and techniques to help you on your journey to food security. Join me as I preserve the abundance of produce that my garden provides. Learn new ways of putting food away for the winter and some old ways that are from another century. You can find this podcast on Shopify and at my website. Come on, let's go wander down to the garden and awaken the dreams, history, and love that is held inside every seed. Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of In the Garden with Susan. And I apologize, I've got fans blowing here, and I can't turn them off to do the recording because it is so hot. It seems we're in another heat wave here in BC, and so anyway, please excuse the background noise. And I just want to apologize for how long this has taken me to do every single day. Ever since Wednesday, I'm doing the podcast, and I've had it prepared, and I've known the flowers that I'm talking about, and I just have all these projects on the go. And I start doing these projects in the day, whether it's preserving or making food. I've been making a cookbook. Well, I wouldn't call it a cookbook. It is it's a vegan, it is a cookbook. I don't know what I'm talking about. Sorry, it's so hot. It's a sun oven. Like, I'm thinking cooking with a stove and on an oven. But this is for sun ovens, and it's like an off-grid recipe book to be making things in the sun oven because I'm going a little off track here, but anyway, there's not a lot, because I live off-grid, and in the summer I do as much as I can in the sun oven because that's just the way to go in the summer. It keeps the heat outside, and it cooks so amazingly in the sun oven. And as I've been making more and more meals and recipes in the sun oven and baking, there's not a lot out there, I've been finding. And I sort of was like, I want to do this and I want to do that, and there's just not a lot of recipes. So I've been doing I've been making a lot of food, let's just say that, and utilizing things from the garden and working on this recipe book for the sun oven. So that's taking up my time, and every day that it's sunny, I've been self-pollinating the squash and the watermelon and the cucumbers. And then I was self-pollinating the corn. It is a full-on job every morning, and then every night I have to tape flowers, and I was bagging tassels on the corn. So by the time I'm done, it's 11:30, and it's incredible. Then it's oh my gosh, I have to get some food in the sun oven before I start losing the sun. And the next thing I know, the whole day is it's gone, and I have to go back out to the garden. So I apologize for this being so late. And then yesterday I took, it was a little mini holiday. It was the Seed Savers Exchange, their conference. And I believe it was the last day of the conference, and they had a bunch of speakers. And so I just decided I was going to enjoy myself, and I was going to be cleaning seed as I, watch some of the things. But I just let myself enjoy the day, and I fully got into the conference. And so, yeah, so here we are. And I've got a lot more flowers to talk about. Some of them are, and I have all these ideas, you guys, of things I want to talk about, but we need to finish the flowers because it is summer and it's the time. So the first one is Coreopsis. And I'm growing this in my garden for the very first time. And when I received it, I got it from a seed saver, and it was just came as Coreopsis. But while I was researching this flower for its edibility, I started figuring out, I believe I have the variety called Route 66. And so this variety, like other Coreopsis, it's considered non-toxic, and some parts of this plant are edible, which is mainly the petals. And they can be used as a colorful garnish for salads, desserts, and cocktails, offering a decorative touch with their vibrant yellow and red hues. And additionally, the flavor is generally mild, and it's more for visual appeal than it is for taste. And so some of the ways you can use it is a salad garnish. You can sprinkle the fresh petals over green salad to add color and a touch of novelty, because they are beautiful. The ones I have are yellow, and half of it's yellow, half of it's red. And from what I understand, as we get into the colder parts of the year, it'll all turn red. So we'll see if that happens. You can also put the petals in an ice cube tray, fill with water, and freeze. You can make an edible flower butter by mixing chopped Coreopsis petals into softened butter along with a pinch of salt. And you can shape it into a log or use cookie cutter shapes, then chill. And then you can also use this flower on cakes for decoration. And as always, like I always say, while Coreopsis is safe to use as an edible flower, make sure that the flowers you are using have not been treated with pesticides or other chemicals. And it's best to use flowers grown specifically for culinary use, or ones that you are certain have been grown without harmful treatments. And as with any new food, only try a small amount at first to ensure you don't have an allergic reaction. And the next flower I want to talk about, I've been working with these guys a lot in the past week. I put them into a cough syrup. I made a cough syrup with honey and homemade apple cider vinegar and a lot of different other herbs. And I have that put away. I've also been doing a lot of drying of it. The first load came out of the dryer. They were really dry, and put in jars, and I went and harvested more. And so from the hyssop, or hyssop, however you want to say it, I actually have I have a lot of plants of this. I've got like 10 or 11 of these guys going in my garden, and I'm not sure how I just have so many. I just do. And this year I started more, and interestingly, I started a lot this year, and I planted another 8 in the garden. And out of those 8, one of them it's not the same vibrant blue color flower. It's like a pinkish. And so I have saved the seeds from that, and I've put them aside because they're a little bit special, and I will be offering those in my seed catalog. And so hyssop, I know we've already talked about anise hyssop, and I'm going to talk about the differences here after we get through a little bit about this flower. But the hyssop flowers are known for their vibrant blue color and aromatic qualities. And they are a member of the mint family. And so they are edible and offer a slightly sweet herbal flavor reminiscent of mint and anise. And so you can steep the flowers in hot water to make a soothing tea. You can sprinkle fresh hyssop flowers over a salad to add a touch of color and a minty flavor. You can infuse vinegars and oils, and this can then be used to dress salads or cook with. And the flowers can be incorporated into baked goods like breads or cookies for flavor and decoration. And you can make a syrup from hyssop flowers, which can be used in desserts or cocktails for a unique flavor twist. And I'd really like to do that because I mean, I've been chopping that stuff down and using so much of it, and I still have tons. You can also dry it. That's what I've been doing. I have those hanging dryers. I have 2 of them, and like you can find them on Amazon. Like, I'm not saying shop Amazon, but this is where I found these guys, and they just hang and they dry quite well, especially in this heat. And I just keep a fan on them, and so I just throw them in there and they dry really well. But you can hang bunches upside down if you like. You can also freeze them. It's best to freeze them spread out on a tray first, and then transfer them into airtight bags or containers once they're frozen. And to preserve them, you can also make vinegar or oil, which will preserve their flavor and extend their shelf life. And so some of the health benefits of this herb is they are a digestive and a respiratory support. And so, as always, just use moderation when trying new herbs. And so some of, they are the respiratory health, of course. They are commonly used to relieve any conditions, and it acts as an expectorant to help clear congestion from the lungs and can soothe respiratory tract infections. And so it also is used to relieve gas, bloating, and indigestion. And this herb has a natural antimicrobial and antiviral property. And so it can help fight infections caused by bacteria and viruses. And it is anti-inflammatory, which makes it useful in treating conditions like arthritis or other inflammation problems. And it's an antioxidant. It helps the body to protect from oxidative stress and may reduce the risk of chronic diseases. Yeah, topically, which we really aren't talking about, but hyssop can be applied to wounds to help reduce infection and speed up the healing process. And traditionally, hyssop has been used to alleviate anxiety and nervous tension. And so it has a very soothing effect on your nervous system. So this herb, this is an amazing herb to have in your cupboard, just to be having tea, all that, it's just it does so much. So I love this herb. That's probably why I have so much of it growing. And then I want to just talk briefly about the difference between anise, hyssop, and hyssop. And I have these 2 guys in garden number 1 growing right beside each other. I don't know how it happened. It just happened. And so I think I had some mix of all these herbs. There was some sort of mix, and so I didn't know what stuff was at first, and I just had all these herbs, and it was they're just all down there, and then I moved some of them around, but they totally looked different. They don't even look the same. So they belong to different plant families, and they have distinct characteristics and uses. So the anise hyssop, it's part of the mint family, and it has a sweet licorice-like flavor similar to anise, and it features spikes of purple flowers, and it has a more bushy appearance with square stems that are typical of the mint family. And it's used in teas, culinary recipes for its sweet flavor, and in gardens it attracts bees. And so for traditional medicine, it's used for its soothing effects on the digestive and respiratory systems. Oh, I have a frog that I don't know if you can hear the frog. A frog has moved in, and I have taken this guy out of here 3 times now, and I can't believe he's back. I walked him way down the road, and he keeps coming back in here. Anyway, he's huge. I should have taken a picture of him last time I took him out. Like he scared me so much, but like he's the size of my palm almost. And then there's another little guy in here. I don't know why the frogs are coming in, but maybe because it's so hot outside. Anyway, sorry if you can hear the ribbit in the background. That's my new roommate. Okay, so the hyssop, it's also a member of the mint family, but it belongs to a different genus. It is more herbaceous with a bitter minty flavor, and that includes hints of camphor. The hyssop has narrow leaves and produces clusters of blue, pink, or white flowers. And that's what I have. I have one that's gone pinky. And it typically grows more upright and less bushy than anise hyssop. It's traditionally used in medicinal applications more than in cooking. And hyssop is valued for its antiseptic, antiviral, and expectorant properties. It's also used in liqueurs as a flavoring agent due to its strong, pungent flavor. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about that because that's been a lot on my mind in the past week. I haven't really been using too much of the anise hyssop. I used a bit of it, but my plant out there right now is for seed. So now another one, I'm looking at this guy. I got 2 of these at a sale, at a garden sale at Canadian Tire, and they were 90% off, and so I had to buy them. I bought a bunch of plants that day for $10. I had all these plants, and this is the canna flowers. I hope I'm saying that right, canna. And I've never grown these guys before. I'm going to dig up the bulbs, and I'm going to try and keep them going. But canna flowers have a bold and vibrant appearance, and they are edible and can add a splash of color and a subtle sweetness to various dishes. And so they have a little bit of a slightly starchy, sweet taste, and this makes them suitable for both savory and sweet dishes. And the texture is somewhat chewy, and they can be eaten raw or cooked. And I haven't tried eating them yet. I've just been so busy, but maybe I have my red canna has bloomed out there, and I really should figure out something to do with it. And so some of the recipes you can use them is you can incorporate fresh canna flowers into a salad for a colorful presentation. And you can combine it with mixed greens, fresh herbs, and a light vinaigrette. Stuffed canna flowers are similar to stuffed squash blossoms. They can be filled with a mixture of cheeses, herbs, and spices, and then lightly battered and fried. And there is canna flower tempura. And you can batter and deep fry the canna flowers to create a crunchy, delightful tempura, and serve with the dipping sauce like soy sauce or sweet chili. And they can be used as a flower garnish, either fresh or candied, to decorate desserts, cocktails, or savory dishes. And their striking appearance enhances the visual appeal of any plate. And so to preserve them, you can dry them for use in teas or as garnishes, and you can just hang them until they're completely dehydrated. You can also candy them, and you dip the flowers in beaten egg whites, or I think I would use beaten what is it called? I'm having a mind blank. Garbanzo bean, aquafaba, the garbanzo bean liquid, and that's what I would think I would dip mine into. And then you coat them with a fine sugar and let them dry. And this method, it not only preserves the flowers, but it also makes them a sweet treat. And you can also freeze them, but this might affect their texture, and so it's only good to do when you're going to use the flowers to be cooked, because the texture will not be so good after. And so yeah, now next, another one. I love these guys. I have two varieties of these growing out in the garden. One was, I think it was called black. It was supposed to be a black dianthus, and I think it's a dark purple. I didn't put them in my seed catalog last year because I have a hard time calling them like black and white when they look dark purple to me. But I have another variety that's just started blooming, and there's something about them. They're just so cute. But they are edible, and dianthus flowers are commonly known as pinks. And so the petals have a sweet, spicy flavor that is reminiscent of cloves, and they are often used in culinary dishes for both their flavor and decorative appeal. So you can put them in salads for a splash of color and a subtle spicy note. You can decorate cakes, cupcakes, or other sweet treats with them to add a unique and attractive finish. You can infuse the dianthus petals into mocktails or tea for added flavor and visual interest. And you can also sugar them. You can candy the petals to create a sweet floral garnish for various dishes. And so some of the recipes I found is the dianthus petal salad. And you just want to take some mixed greens such as arugula, spinach, and lettuce, a handful of fresh dianthus petals that are washed and take their bases off, sliced cucumber, cherry tomatoes halved, feta cheese crumbled. You can put in some nuts such as almonds or walnuts, which is optional, olive oil, balsamic vinegar, and salt and pepper to taste. And you just combined all the greens and cucumbers and cherry tomatoes and crumbled feta cheese. Add the petals of dianthus and nuts if using. Drizzle with the olive oil and balsamic vinegar. Season with salt and pepper. Toss everything together gently and serve immediately. And for the dianthus infused sugar, you take 1 cup of granulated sugar and half a cup of fresh dianthus petals, washed and the bases removed, and combine the sugar and dianthus petals in a food processor. Pulse until the petals are finely chopped and well mixed with the sugar. Spread the mixture out on a baking sheet to dry for a few hours. And once dry, you sift the sugar to remove any large petal pieces and store in an airtight container to use in sweetened teas, sprinkling over desserts, or to rim your cocktail glasses. And now another flower that I don't believe I've ever grown this. I don't know a lot about it, but it is the safflower. And it is a highly branched, herbaceous, thistle-like annual plant. And it's commonly grown for its seeds, which are used to make safflower oil, and for its flowers, which serve various culinary and dyeing purposes. And so some of the significance of this flower is that it's been cultivated since ancient times, with its usage dating back to Egyptian pharaohs, and it's been traditionally used in coloring and flavoring foods, in medicines, and as a dye for clothing. And historically, it was also occasionally used as a cheaper alternative to saffron, and so it has a nickname of false saffron. And so the petals have a distinctive flavor that is slightly spicy and herbaceous, though less intense than saffron. And so they are primarily used for coloring, saffron, or sorry, safflower petals can impart a rich yellow to red color in foods, making it a popular natural food coloring. And this is particularly useful in dishes like risottos and baked goods. And the petals can be used to add a subtle saffron-like flavor to dishes, although it is milder and less pungent. And safflower tea is popular in some regions, appreciated for its unique flavor and potential health benefits. And these are heart health, that it is high in unsaturated fats. So I guess that that's if you're making safflower oil. Although I'm not sure. We're not going to really get into that, the oil. I would just want to talk about the petals. So yeah, I guess it's a easy to grow plant. It's tolerant of high heat and drought, which would be good here. It's like, holy mackerel, like living in the desert lately. But anyway, that is pretty much it. For some of the recipes I found is a safflower petal rice, and you can take 1 cup of long grain rice, 2 cups of water, a teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of dried safflower petals. A tablespoon of butter is optional, and fresh herbs for garnish such as parsley or cilantro. And you just want to rinse your rice under cold water until the water runs clear. In a medium saucepan, bring water to boil. Add the safflower petals and salt. Stir in the rice, return to a boil. Then reduce the heat to low, cover, and simmer for 18 to 20 minutes or until the water is absorbed and the rice is tender. Remove from heat and let it sit covered for 5 minutes. Fluff with the fork. Add butter if desired, and garnish with herbs before serving. And then to make your safflower tea, it's a soothing drink that's easy to prepare. You just take 1 to 2 teaspoons of dried safflower petals, 1 cup of boiling water, and honey to taste. And so if you want, you place the safflower petals in a tea infuser or directly in a cup. Pour the boiling water over the petals and allow to steep for 5 to 10 minutes. Remove the petals and sweeten if desired. And you can enjoy this hot or also chill for a refreshing iced tea. And so to preserve it, you can dry them, and that's the most common way, as it retains the color and properties quite well. And so you pick the safflower petals on a dry day, preferably in the morning after the dew has evaporated. You gently rinse the petals to remove any dirt or insects. Pat them dry with a towel. Lay them out in a single layer on a drying rack or clean cloth and place them in a warm, dry, well-ventilated area. You can also use a dehydrator. And then you put them in an airtight container for storage. And freezing them is a less common way to preserve them. You can also make an infused oil, which is a way to capture the flavor and color, and this can then be used in cooking. And so you want to dry the safflower petals and then place the dried petals in a clean jar. Cover them with a neutral oil such as olive oil, and ensure that the petals are completely submerged. Seal the jar and store in a cool, dark place for about 2 to 4 weeks, shaking occasionally. And then you want to strain it after the infusion period through a fine mesh sieve or cheesecloth to remove all the petal pieces and store in an airtight container in a cool, dark place. So that is the flowers that I have for today, where it's starting to get a little bit thin. It's interesting though, as I wander around the garden and I see different flowers, I look and see if they're edible. There are a few that I recently have seen some, I think, videos on that I was shocked that aren't edible. I should be keeping a list of them. But anyway, I think we have a few more shows about the flowers. And so, yeah, I hope everyone is, well, I'm not sure where you are. If you're in a heat wave or, if you're in the rain, but wherever you are, I hope that your garden is feeding you well and that you are enjoying the flowers that you're growing and the fresh veggies that are coming out of the garden. And so I will talk to you in a couple days. I'll see you in the garden. Thank you for joining me for this episode of In the Garden with Susan. I hope you're enjoying the Flower Power series. And as we look at all the different edible flowers, you can find this podcast and others at Spotify, Podchaser, Radio Public. It's on my Rumble channel. It's on my YouTube channel. And you can always find it at my website at www.gardenfairybotanicals.ca. I look forward to chatting with you next week when we will continue on our journey through the edible flowers.